What's going on, guys? Horror Junkies back with another video. And today we're going to be reviewing the remake for Nightmare on Elm Street. And man, is this going to be a fucking video. Um, just because there's a couple of things we like about this movie, but there's a lot of shit we fucking hate about this movie. Um,
Just to be clear, straight from the jump, we don't like this movie.
oh, fuck no.
But there are elements or shit they did in this movie where it could have been interesting.
Yes. Yes. For one, they could have went a whole different direction with this movie, because they really go so far and beyond to make the whole child molestation thing a big part of this movie, which they did not do in the originals. It was brought up a little bit
It
in
was
the originals,
subtext.
but it wasn't a big deal like it was in this movie. Now, I could see doing that if they would have went the other route.
That they originally were going in
Like,
this movie before they
yeah,
decided not to.
flip it and make it like he was accused of these things, but never did it. And that's why he's haunting um, the kids on Elm Street. That would have been a totally different fucking movie. Let's start out also with the actor who played Freddy in this movie.
Jackie Earl Haley. If you don't know him, he's been in a bunch of shit. He was in Watchmen. He played Rorschach in that.
Loved him in Watchmen. Loved him in that.
And he kind of did the Freddy voice in Watchmen,
He
too.
did. He did.
And just to be clear, the problem with this movie is not Jackie Earl Haley
No.
at all. He does fucking phenomenal as Freddy.
I believe that the problem is the script, the story. He was just drug into some bullshit.
And he did the best he could with what he was given.
I do believe that.
And the other problem with this movie, not really with the movie itself, but the fans. Y'all just cannot let Robert Englund go.
No. And to get another Nightmare movie, we're gonna have to let Robert Englund glow.
Because other than the movie absolutely sucking ass with good parts, that was the main reason why this movie flopped. And this movie was supposed to be the start of a trilogy.
Well, the movie flopped because it was fucking terrible. But I do agree, Robert Englund is not going to play this part ever again. He's already said it.
And he's been saying that since 2003.
So if we, as fans, expect to get another movie, we have to let that go.
The past is in the past. Let it go. Let it go.
I do like, there is some rumors going around that Robert Englund is actually trying to get Kevin Bacon to take the part. Which I actually think would work. You almost spilled that shit.
I did. I just got scared.
I think that would work because Kevin Bacon has almost the same facial features as Robert Englund. Kevin Bacon, what?
Cold chill. It's cold down here.
Kevin Bacon has actually done the Freddy voice in some videos that he's done, and he
I believe he did it on Robot Chicken as well.
He pulls it off very well. He almost sounds almost identical to Robert Englund. So I believe Kevin Bacon is a good fit for this role. Not only because he's well known, he also has the same build and same facial features as Robert Englund. So I think it would work out really well with the same makeup. The makeup on this one wasn't bad.
When it's like it's in darkness.
Right. you can tell some things were CGI'd on his face.
Especially his cheek right here.
Yeah. The whole I really like the Robert Englund version better though, because it looked I don't know, it just looked creepier. It looked shiny. It had that burn, really fucked up look to it versus this looked kind of ashy,
Yeah.
you know,
And they tried to make it look more like a burn victim in real life.
right.
Aside from the CGI nerves and shit in
You know,
his cheek.
and that's what this movie's about. Like everybody loves that not only Robert Englund, but the original makeup.
Mhm.
That's what makes this movie great because that's what everybody knows. Don't try to change the look if you're going to change the character or if you're going to change the person playing him. Don't change the look of the character
Right.
because that's what probably throwing people off. You know, and his voice in this movie was great.
Yeah.
I
It was really
loved it.
creepy.
It
I also
brought
like the stuff that Jackie Earl Haley brought to the role, like the little with the knives and his how he changed his laugh.
yeah, I
And
did.
it was all creepy and it was really good.
Like I said, there's some good things about this movie. Um, and these are it. You know, he did a phenomenal job for what he had to work with, and it makes it hard on his point because he has to take the backlash for
Right.
not being Robert Englund.
And you know the really messed up part about this? I even researched this before we did this video. The most messed up part about the fans giving backlash to Jackie Earl Haley the most for this movie is ironic because the fans, when this movie was announced and they were looking for casting for Freddy Krueger, the fans are the one that recommended Jackie Earl Haley play him.
Really, that's interesting. But then they just dog shit out of him after this movie came out.
Yeah, because he's not Robert Englund.
Right. You know, and you know, it's gonna have to take a turn with the actor, um, like Hellraiser did. You know, nobody thought that Hellraiser was gonna work with somebody other than Doug Bradley. Um, there has been other people take that role on and did a very shitty fucking job. So I can understand where the fans are coming from at that point, but to not be willing to go the extra mile to
Right.
give some leeway. And I think when they did this new Hellraiser, they knocked it out of the ballpark.
Yeah.
Like Jamie Clayton was fucking great. She did really good as Pinhead, and a lot of people were mad because they didn't want to see her in that role,
Right.
because she was a woman or a man. There's that shit
Right.
thrown out there too, and that doesn't matter. But she did a phenomenal job, and it goes along with the book because you know it's a genderless being, so they can pull that off. So nobody gave him the chance in this role, and even though his voice was great, the way he brought the little scissor thing to it and made it, I mean, it was fucking great. And yet you're not going to satisfy everybody.
No.
You know what I mean? That's just the way it goes. But this movie just had no chance from the get-go.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't Robert Englund.
And that's what most of the people I've talked to about this movie, they all nobody every single person I've talked to, they don't say the movie was bad, they don't say the script was bad, the characters are bad. It's all Jackie Earl Haley sucked as Freddy Krueger. And that is definitely not the case.
Well, the biggest part that sucked about this movie, they gave Heather Langenkamp's role,
Nancy,
they gave Nancy a different last name.
for some reason.
They gave some of her fucking roles, some of her fucking dialogue to other fucking characters.
Yeah, some of her scenes from the original.
Right. And there was that. The characters didn't match up
No.
at all.
Not to mention the actress who plays Nancy in this movie, Rooney Mara. I've seen her in other shit, and she's a really good actress. But for some reason, I don't know if you got this vibe while we were watching it, but every single time she's on screen, other than whenever she has to cry for the scene, every single time she's on the screen, it feels like she just doesn't want to be there.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
she could not give a shit less.
Yeah. And it's terrible because they flip-flop characters uh and gave one character the Nancy role, her script where she had to, act out that part where Nancy did it in the original.
Right.
And it was just this movie was everywhere. It wasn't in line with the original. So it wasn't just the fact that Robert Englund wasn't in it. It was that the script was so fucked up, it made the whole movie bad.
Yeah. And not to mention, with along with the changing Nancy's last name for some reason, they also completely got rid of Glenn,
Yeah.
the character. They got rid of Rod, which they basically replaced him with Jesse. He's basically the same character.
Yeah.
They completely got rid of Tina, basically replaced her with Chris. Like, if it's a remake, why not keep the characters' names? Why change shit?
Yeah. Yeah. And the way they died was basically completely fucking
And
different.
very over the top.
Very over the top. And
Like Chris's death, who would be Tina's death in the original, made absolutely no sense. Why is she flying around the room?
right. When she was like crawling up the wall in the original and
Yeah.
on the ceiling, she was actually flying. And another thing that really spoiled this fucking movie was they relied on jump scares.
Mhm.
Every fucking thing was jump scares. It's okay to do one or two in the fucking movie. This whole movie was jump scares. And it was terrible. Like they want to blame the replacement of Robert Englund on this movie being fucking terrible. No, it was every fucking thing else but him.
Right.
You know what I mean? He did a phenomenal job as Freddy Krueger, and I don't give a fuck if I piss people off by
Right.
saying that shit. I don't care. He did a really good job. It was the movie itself, the script sucked.
And it's ironic too because whenever I watch it, like I don't go back and watch this one as much as the other ones, like Dream Warriors, for
Right.
example. But when I go back and actually watch this one, the character that is the most interesting to me when he's on screen, and it's the part of the movies that of the movie I enjoy the most, is when Jackie Earl Haley's Freddy Krueger is on screen.
Yep.
Like he has the best scenes.
Because the rest of the movie's fucking boring.
Right.
Like the dialogue, the fucking story, it doesn't match up to the original at all. It doesn't follow the same path, nothing. And it just boring. Like they wanted to blame Jackie Earl Haley for fucking this movie up. No, the writers fucked this movie up, and it was because they changed the whole story and made it completely different from the original.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a good different.
No.
It wasn't a I'm trying to make it better different. It's I'm trying to fuck it up different. And that's exactly what it was.
One of the scenes I really enjoyed, even though actually I think her acting in this scene is pretty good. The supermarket scene where she's falling asleep while she's walking,
Yes.
and whenever Freddy does something in the dream world, it has a reaction in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
They like like we said, there's some really good things about this movie, but also the worst outweighs the best. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that's what's terrible about it. And he did his best, I do believe, but they went so far beyond to make the whole he touched kids thing such a huge part of this movie, and they just could have went without it. And if they would have they could have kept that part, but if they would have turned it around where he was being accused or the kids lied about it and he really didn't do it, and that's why he was doing what he was doing,
Right.
it would have been a way better fucking movie.
Yeah, if they would have actually stuck with that and didn't lose their balls basically in the last 15 to 20 minutes of the movie after they introduced that idea,
Right.
then it would have been a way better movie, I think.
Yeah,
But no,
because the whole movie was kind of leaning that way up until the last, like you said, 20, 15, 20 minutes of the movie. It just turned directions. You know what I
right,
mean? And it was like, okay, they're gonna falsely accuse him of this, and I get that. That's why he's doing this shit, and that would have been great. But no, they just kept going straight forward with it, and but even if they had done that, the movie would have still sucked,
right,
just because the story leading up to that part was terrible.
yeah. I think that I don't think it would have saved the movie, but I think it would have made it a lot better.
Yeah, it'd have made more sense.
Right. There's literally only other than the scenes where Freddy's on screen or Jackie Earl Haley is on screen. There's only two scenes in this movie I like. And I could rewatch them over and over again. And it's the scene where they finally remember everything and then Quentin goes to confront his dad, which was a
Yes,
really good scene.
yeah, that was a good scene. I did like that.
And Freddy's flashback.
Yep,
Not the first one, the one where it shows how they killed
yeah, yep.
him.
So that's where we're at on this movie. Um, there's a lot of people who hate this movie. I don't really know of anybody who likes this movie. Honestly, I don't like it. I like parts of it. There's things about it that could have been really, really great if the script would have been better for this movie. But I think to me, that's where this movie fails 100%. It's the script. It's not Jackie Earl Haley that fucked this movie up. I believe he did a really good job. He made the best of what he had
Right.
in the situation because we've seen his other movies. They're great.
And a single actor, no matter what role they're in, a single actor cannot save a shitty movie.
Right.
They can just do the best that they are
Right.
given with,
Right.
which is what he did.
Yep. It's just like, hey, okay, um, Indiana Jones was fucking terrible because of Harrison Ford. No, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
You know, Star Wars was terrible because of James Earl Jones. He wasn't even in the fucking movie.
It was just his
It was
voice.
just his voice. You know what I mean? I mean, that's where people go with that shit. You know what I mean? And it's fucking terrible. You can't just blame one fucking guy who's the main actor just because he's not Robert Englund.
Right.
The whole fucking movie sucked because the script was fucking terrible. That's it.
This movie had 99 problems, but Freddy Krueger wasn't one.
No, no.
Well,
So
the actor wasn't.
right,
What they did with Freddy Krueger was a
right, right.
problem.
So guys, hit that fucking thumbs up button. Please hit that thumbs up button. We really, really appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. Just so you know, every time Horror Junkies comes out with another video, you get notified right away. Right away. So that's going to be our blow up about the fucking remake of Nightmare on Elm Street. Appreciate you guys watching this video. Appreciate you guys' comments. That's going to be it for this one. And until next time, this is Horror Junkies, and we're out.